The king asked a clever man to divide the meat of a royal goose, but the man cleverly kept the softest and tastiest part for himself. He gave the king the goose's head and said, "Your Majesty, just like the head controls the whole body, you rule this entire kingdom, so this part is for you." Then he gave the queen the neck and said, "Your Majesty, you always stand beside the king, so this part belongs to you." After that, he gave the wings to the princess who was about to get married and said, "May both of you always stay together, and may your life fly with happiness." Then he gave the goose's leg to the young prince and said, "One day you will move this kingdom forward, so this part is for you." Everyone sitting in the royal court understood that he was fooling everyone with sweet words, but no one had an answer to his clever talk. In the end, he kept all the best meat for himself. The king felt like he was being mocked, so in anger he decided to test that man. The king said, "If you fail to answer my questions, you will be sentenced to death." The entire court became frightened, but the man was not nervous at all. The king asked the first question, "How many buckets of water can fit inside the lake?" The clever man smiled and said, "That depends on the size of the buckets." The king stayed silent for a moment. Then he called the 3 greatest scholars of the kingdom so they could defeat the man. The first scholar asked, "How many stars are there in the sky?" The clever man replied, "The same number as the hairs on my donkey's head." The scholar angrily said, "How will you prove that?" The man laughed and said, "First count all the stars, then count the hairs on my donkey's head too." The whole court burst into laughter. Then the second scholar asked, "How many hairs are there in my beard?" The clever man instantly replied, "The same number as the hairs in my donkey's tail." The scholar shouted, "You are lying." The man said, "Then first count the hairs in your beard and in my donkey's tail. If even one hair is less, I will accept any punishment you give me." The scholar became silent. Now the last scholar stepped forward and said, "Tell me, where is the center of the earth?" As soon as everyone heard this question, the whole court went silent. Everyone thought the man was finally trapped, but calmly he walked over to his donkey. The donkey stamped its foot on the ground, and the man said, "The center of the earth is right here." The scholar laughed and said, "What proof do you have for that?" The clever man replied, "If you don't believe me, then measure the whole earth. If the center is not here, I will accept defeat." The faces of all 3 scholars fell. The king started laughing loudly. He was so impressed by the man's intelligence that he made him his royal advisor, and all 3 scholars walked out of the palace with their heads lowered in shame.